I'm Eva. Today we are doing another baking video because I had a lot of fun with the banana muffins one. But that's a recipe I've done many times and I want to do something I've never done before, which is making bread by hand. It could fail horrifically, this could be really bad, maybe it won't even be edible, but I can't say I didn't try. I'm using a recipe by Babish. It was in one of his Basics with Babish videos, so I kind of got to watch him make it too, so hopefully I can do this, but we will see, so let's begin. Okay, according to this recipe, we're actually going to mix all of our dry ingredients in the bowl first, and then we're going to add water. Okay, this is 3 3/4 cups of flour. It's roughly 400 grams, because that's what I was going for. We're going to add in our little yeast, which was half a teaspoon, and then a teaspoon and a half of flour, and we're just supposed to mix it. The next step is to add 1 1/3 cup of room temperature water, so not warm, not cold, just room temperature. And it says to just mix, but not to knead, just mix it. Oh, this is a horrifically bad texture. I do not enjoy this texture. Oh, and it just smells like raw flour. Okay, the next step is to cover. This doesn't look right to me. I feel like I really screwed this up, but I'll find out in 12 hours because that's how long we have to let it rest. So after I finished that first lump of dough, I was thinking, and I was like, do I really want to wait till 8:30 tonight to make this so that I can try a piece at 11 o'clock and get nothing out of it today? And I was like, no, I want something out of it today, and I bet you Ryan would be happy if there was a loaf of bread waiting when he got home. So we're gonna try another recipe, which is a lot faster, but requires me to knead the dough, which is something I've obviously never done. So let's do that. I found this recipe on a site called The Spruce Eats. And this recipe calls for 1 1/4 cup of room temperature water, 2 1/2 teaspoons of active dry yeast, 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, 1 1/2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 3 cups of bread flour. So let's see how it goes. In here is the water and the oil, and it says to add the yeast. Goodbye, yeast. Seem to just want to glob at the bottom there. Then it says to, oh, it says to mix it. Okay, we can mix. We'll just grab a tiny whisk. Oh my god, yeast is such a weird thing. Okay, now it says to add the sugar and salt, which I have here. It said not to add all the flour at once, so we're not adding all the flour at once. But we are adding all of this in. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to read the recipe while I'm doing this. Come on, you little yeasty bits. This recipe smells a lot more fragrant, and I'm not sure why. The only difference is that there's a tiny amount of sugar and a little bit of oil. And like more than double the amount of yeast. But this one smells a lot better. Okay, here we're getting to the doughiness. Oh, it's so sticky. Why is dough such a sticky thing? Okay, it says I need to turn this out onto a floured work surface. I don't know what constitutes lightly, so I'm guessing that this is lightly floured. Oh my god, it's so sticky. I'm not really sure how one kneads. I feel like this is a thing. Maybe? Is this how you knead bread? Oh, it's so sticky. It says I'm supposed to do this for 4 minutes or until the dough is smooth. I'm going to assume that over time this gets better. But I could have sworn I've seen people do this like pulley stretchy thing. Okay, my assumption is that I need more flour. Yeah, extra flour for the win. This seems doable. Okay, yes. I didn't have enough flour. We're learning. It's starting to get like resistant to me though. Does that mean that it's done or that I'm just in the beginning stages? I don't know. This right here is why grandmas were buff as hell. Okay, it is now what I would consider smooth to the touch. So I'm supposed to put this into a greased bowl, which I greased with all our vegetable oil. And then it says to turn the dough over in the bowl so that it gets greasy all over. Seems doable. Okay, you are now greasy. It says cover with a cloth and allow it to rise in a warm, draft-free place for an hour. Let's put you in a warm, draft-free place. Okay, so in an hour, I gotta do more with this second set of dough. I gotta name them. First dough is Babish dough. Second dough is second dough. Yeah, that works. I'm good with that. Okay, so in an hour, second dough and I have to continue kneading and working together, but until then, I gotta clean my kitchen because I have flour everywhere. My mom used to make bread all the time, and now I'm doing this really poorly, and I have mad respect for her because she made us like multi-grain, super healthy bread all the time when I was little. She also made really good donuts. Maybe that's the next thing I should cook. Donuts. Though I would really like to try making bagels. Bagels? Oh, Britta. Anyways, I gotta clean and I'll see you guys in about an hour. I've let this dough rise for over an hour. It seems to have gotten considerably bigger, so the next step is to punch down dough. I'm going to assume that means literally punch the dough. Oh, it feels gloopy. Do you feel adequately punched? I don't know how much punching I'm going for here. That seems punched. And now I'm supposed to put it back into a floured workspace and knead it again. But this time I'm not going light on the flour. That was a mistake. We learned. Let's turn you out. Okay. Ooh, it feels much more elastic this time. Guess that's the gluten? And it is starting to smell more like bread than it is smelling like flour. Oh my god, this thing is tense. Our dough has now been kneaded. I feel like it's what it's supposed to be. I'm amazed by the amount of humidity that's remained in it with all this addition of flour, but the recipe said to cut it up and braid it and put it in this special pan, but I don't have that special pan. I don't have any bread pans actually. So I'm going to be putting it in a 9x9 or 8x8 cake pan and pray that this will work. So that's what I'm doing here. It is greased. I'm supposed to cover it and let it rise for another 45 minutes before we bake it. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I let this rest for just over an hour and then I scored it because people seem to do that with bread, and I don't know if it's an appeal thing or to make it cook better. I'm not really sure. But I did. And then I looked up how to make the crust like crunchy or soft, and apparently if you brush it down with butter right after it's cooked, you get this really, really, really nice crust. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is going to go into the oven at 350 for 45 minutes, and hopefully it will cook properly. I also hope that it won't like overflow everywhere, but I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work. So let's throw her in the oven and see what happens. Okay, we have bread. And according to this thing, I'm supposed to immediately brush it with butter. This is obviously not a real kitchen tool. This is a paintbrush that I washed many, many times before putting it into butter. But I imagine this works better if you have the real tool. I feel like that's enough butter. I think it is. I'm not sure. I'm then supposed to remove it, which, okay, I can do this. Haha. Now, you're supposed to let it cool completely or it ruins the texture, so I gotta let this cool down for a little bit. Okay, so the bread is cooled completely at this point. Ryan is home, so we are ready to try it.
How does it feel?
It feels like bread.
Okay, that's good.
It looks like bread.
Ooh, that's even better.
It's moist. Okay, we're gonna come up and show our reactions as we try this. I'm so sorry if it's bad.
It's okay, I'll forgive you. Oh.
It's not bad at all.
It's like a hint of sweetness to it.
There's a tiny amount of sugar in it. It's lovely and chewy and a little bit of crunch on the outside.
Really?
I think I did it.
God help us all. We'll be so fat now.
Because I can make unlimited bread.
Yeah! Goodbye, figure.
Okay, there is still one more dough to bake, and considering how the day is going and how tired I am, I think it might have to rest for like 20 some hours, which according to its recipe, it's supposed to rest for 12 to 24 hours anyways. So I think I'm going to be baking that one tomorrow morning, which means that for the rest of the evening, we're just going to eat all of this. She got big and she got bubbly, so we're gonna take off our little wrap here. The smell is admittedly not great. Texture is very gloopy. Okay, so what I'm supposed to do here is just shape it nicely into a ball. I'm not sure exactly how nicely this thing is going to shape, as it is incredibly gloopy. Okay, you seem to be ball-like. Okay, you know what? There you go. Now you're a ball. Okay, now we have to cover this for 1 more hour and then we're gonna put it into the oven. At this point we have an egg wash on top of the dough. I have scored it. It is on papered sheet. I do not have a Dutch oven, so what I'm doing, instead of covering the bread, the oven is set at about 500. This cast iron is actually preheated, so it's got to go in right away. A quick recap of what happened there, just because I feel like I was scrambling to get it done very quickly. I scored the dough, I did an egg wash on it, I was preheating the oven at 500 with the cast iron in it. Just before I pulled the cast iron, I put a large pan of water in there in an oven-safe container, because you're supposed to do this in a Dutch oven, which helps maintain the humidity in there. So what I've done is add a lot more humidity to the oven. I've heard it works, so I'm hoping it will. If you're also wondering why I used a cast iron skillet to do this, it's because I don't have a lot of oven-safe things to work with, and this dough got so much larger than the last one that I didn't think I could put it in a little cake pan, so that's why I did it that way. Hopefully it comes out beautifully. It's going to be in there for about 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes max. I really have to keep an eye on this one because it is a little more experimental for me. Hopefully it comes out nicely, and the next time you see anything, it'll be the bread once it's done cooking. Okay, we have here a lovely looking loaf of bread that I'm going to let live in a sea of butter because it looks like it would really like some moisture. This was cooking 20 minutes total, and I figured that if I left it any longer, she'd start to burn pretty horrifically. So I guess the half-hour time would be too long for my little guy here. I had a pan with a couple cups of water in there. Like I said, it about half evaporated, so I think that really did help keep humidity in the oven for this guy. But his crust is definitely very crusty, very hard. So I'm gonna try to soften him up a little bit here. I've got a clean kitchen cloth here, and we're gonna touch this for as little time as possible. Yeah, that was getting really hot really fast. Okay, so what we have here is an angry loaf of bread. Oh no! Now, I don't think a little char on bread is bad, but on areas where the paper burned on, I gotta get that paper off. I think all in all, it's not gonna be bad. Those little char spots maybe will have a lot of flavor in them. I hope they will. And when Ryan gets home and we're ready to have dinner, we will show you guys what it tastes like. Okay, so we just had a very kind of romantic dinner that I did instead of just having us like rip apart bread with our hands.
Yeah, the candles are still lit.
I have like 20 candles and wine and meat and cheese. And what did you think of it?
I really liked it.
Had a little bit of char on it.
A little bit of char, but as you did say, it does add a little bit more flavor to it because of it. But I thought it was really good. It went very well with the charcuterie.
Yeah, we mixed it with spicy flavors and sweet flavors, like very smooth bries, sharp cheddars, and it seemed to work with all of it beautifully.
Yeah, I think so. I recommend that one. Do that one if you showed them, right, how to do it.
Yeah, but it's terrifying. I'm gonna have to, when I figure out how to do it in a way where I don't try to burn down my house, I will film it. And I will show you guys how to make it in a way where you're not scared and you don't burn your parchment onto your loaf of bread.
Alright, sounds good. Anyways, I'm Ryan, and if you guys like this video, please hit like, comment down below, and hit subscribe so I can see you guys
next time.